Guys, my live streams have been blocked by YouTube. I don't know for how long. I know that if we can't do live streams, let's do recorded videos instead. Let's do recorded videos. And what do I ask of you in this situation? More engagement, more likes, more comments, and more of everything, okay? What happened? Yesterday, I streamed the debate between Haddad and that guy, right? With Tarcísio. So it was taken down that same day. Then YouTube said I violated copyright, but I thought I could do it because they were two public figures and it was in the public interest. I thought everything was fine and I even wanted to test it to see if it was allowed or not. And this situation happened, right? So what am I asking from you? Let's help boost my engagement more, right? Because maybe if it were from the right, everything would have worked out, right? So let's help boost my engagement. Let's give it more likes. Let's share it more, okay? Because the struggle is big. And put it out there, Lula Tetra. Let's go, my dear. Let's keep moving forward. People are right behind us. Look here. A shell company for which Flávio Bolsonaro issued invoices received 11 million from Master in the month after it was opened, according to the newspaper. Wow. You know that company for which Flávio Bolsonaro issued 3 invoices, each for 500,000 reais? Totaling 1.5 million. Well, that company, in 1 month, in its first month of existence, received 11 million from Master. In its first month of existence, received 11 million. What kind of company is this, huh, guys? These people have to explain this to us. What is this? What a thriving company this is. Well, this company, what is this, guys? This is money laundering from what it looks like, guys. From what it looks like, this company, in fact, according to the federal police investigations, is a shell company to launder money for the Volcaro Mafia. What is Flávio doing in the middle of all this? That's what I want to know. That's what you want to know? And Flávio doesn't explain. We ask for an explanation. The press asks for an explanation. And Flávio says, what about Lula? What about Lulinha? And he doesn't explain anything. But do you know what that is? When the criminal organization is very big, it has congressmen, it has senators involved, it has governors, it has a lot of people, and it needs several shell companies and several people to act as fronts. That even reminded me of that movie now, Bolsonaro's Pangare. I don't know why. Why? Because since it's too much money, they need several schemes to launder the money, to clean the money so it can be put into the market. And from what it looks like, this is another situation just like Bolsonaro's movie. From what it looks like, it was used to launder money. So much so that even today it's been over 90 days and no one has accounted for it. And they presented the accounts for Bolsonaro's donkey movie, which officially says it received 61 million reais. But until today, they haven't accounted for those amounts that went to the Habergate Fund belonging to Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer over in Texas in the United States. And Flávio wants to be president of the Republic, and he doesn't want to explain anything. Oh, that's not going to happen, right, guys? If you want to be president of the Republic, you have to explain your whole life. Otherwise, you won't make it. Let's read here. Copenhagen Consultoria e Assessoria S.A., a shell company for which Flávio Bolsonaro's law firm issued and canceled invoices worth 1 million, received 11.2 million from Banco Master the month after it was opened. The issuance of invoices by the senator's law firm to the company in Master's financial network was revealed by Metropolis. According to information from the São Paulo Commercial Registry, Copenhagen Consulting and Advisory was established on November 1, 2024. The following month, in December 2024, Banco Master made the first investments of 11.2 million in the company. And it's interesting, did you notice the company's name? Copenhagen, the same name as Flávio Bolsonaro's chocolate company. Is it just a coincidence or is it mockery? Oh, What do you think? Do you think it's a coincidence or is it really mockery? Laughing in the fool's faces, right? It's always something. I know one thing. From what it looks like, Flávio is in deeper trouble than ever. And Daniel Vercaro. Look here. Flávio Bolsonaro complains about the leak of invoices involving a company linked to Vercaro. No one could ever claim that this is an illegal breach of confidentiality. He is not concerned about the substance of the matter. He is worried because it leaked. He is not worried that the company is a front. He is not worried about where the 11 million came from that went to the front company and where that money went afterwards. He is not worried about the invoices he issued to this company. He is not worried about Daniel Vercaro's mafia. He is worried because it leaked. No, Flavio, guys, this is so shameless. It's really brazen. Don't you think so? For God's sake. Meanwhile, look here. Look. A neo-Nazi group was planning to blow up the Planalto Palace with Lula inside. The civil police of the Federal District and the Ministry of Justice dismantled it. Dismantled a cell that was exchanging explosive manuals and blueprints of public buildings through Telegram. And from what the police managed to find during searches and seizures, some things were already clear right away. In fact, they were planning to blow up the palace with Lula inside. And this was planned since the runoff. Look how crazy that is. That's Bolsonarism, guys. Bolsonarism does this to people. It makes people weak-minded, or it brings out the worst in them. I always say you need to have people around you who bring out the best in you. Because people who bring out the worst in you, you turn into an animal. Yeah. So like Bolsonarism brings out the worst in people. That's why we have to vote. We have to stand with the one who will be the best president for Brazil. And who is that? Lula? Flávio Bolsonaro, guys, for God's sake. For God's sake, Flávio Bolsonaro, put Lula there, Tetri in the first round. And yesterday, there were several debates, right? All around Brazil. And Sergio Moro ran away from the debate, guys. Sergio Moro confirmed he was going to participate in the debate there in the state of Paraná, and he simply didn't show up for the debate, Sergio Moro. He's a coward again, Sergio Moro, running away from the fight. Look here, folks, what a shameful thing. He chickened out. Sergio Moro cancels his attendance at the first debate with candidates for governor of Paraná. Put it there, Sergio Moro, coward. He's already running away right at the start. Just think about the situation. What's this, huh? It doesn't help. Meanwhile, a new poll came out. Shall we check the poll here? Nexus BTG. Lula has 40 and Flávio has 35 in the first round. In this poll here, Lula wins in the first and second rounds. Then the market crowd, who are desperate for Lula to lose, say that Lula ties in the second round. But when you look, it's a statistical tie, but Lula is ahead of everyone. Now, it's interesting that Lula went up in this poll because in the previous poll, Lula was lower. Yes, he was. Flávio was a little higher, not higher than Lula, right? I'm talking proportionally. But in this poll, Lula went up a little. Compared to the previous poll, a poll that, by the way, is even paid for by the market. This one, right? Got the code, got the code, got the code. Got the code, got the code, got the code. Hit the like button, everyone. Let's take a look here. Lula widens his lead over Flávio Bolsonaro in the first and second rounds, says BTG Nexus. The survey shows that despite a tight race in the second round, the president pulls even further ahead, but several websites don't show this. They put out headlines as if Lula were slipping. That's interesting, isn't it, guys? But that's not the case. If we compare it with the previous Nexus poll, we'll see that Lula went up, but they don't mention that, do they? But here we say it. Look here so you can see how it was, how it went, and how it is now. The survey also shows a favorable fluctuation for Lula compared to the previous poll. In last week's round, Lula had 46 in the previous one. Lula had 46 in the previous BTG Nexus poll. Paid for by the market, I reiterate. In this one, he was already at 47%. And while Flávio Bolsonaro registered 45, and in today's poll, he was at 44%. So Lula increases his lead over Flávio Bolsonaro in the first and second rounds, according to the BTG Nexus Intel Nexus poll. But they're not showing that. For you to know whether the poll is positive or not for X, for so-and-so, or for someone else, you have to look at the previous poll. And as I showed here in the previous BTG Nexus poll, Lula was 1 point below where he is now. He had 44 and now he's gone up to 45. Flávio Bolsonaro had 40, and with it's right here. Look, let's check it again here. Flávio had 40 and 40. Oh my God, are you crazy? In last week's round, Lula had 46, now he has 47, and Flávio had 45, and now Flávio has 44. So Lula gained a point and Flávio lost a point. Okay, now that's not the headline you're going to see, right? The headline you're going to see is that Flávio is rising, that Flávio is in a statistical tie because Flávio this and that and Flávio this and that. They want you to believe that it's not worth voting for Lula. Did you understand? But we have to get involved so that Lula wins in the first round. Otherwise, we're screwed. Right? You're already getting the hang of it, right? That's it. Lula leads in 12 states, Flávio in 7. The map of Brazil shows what the polls indicate about the presidential race in the states. Look here, Lula. In all these red states here, Lula leads in the polls, all of them, all these states. That is, Lula leads in 12 states, in 7 states. Flávio Bolsonaro leads. Next. And here in Goiás, Caiado leads. Caiado was right, governor of Goiás, so he leads in Goiás. He takes votes from Flávio. From the state of Goiás, Flávio Bolsonaro. Guys, I'm sorry, but I have a cold. So sometimes my voice gets a bit rough, but I'm here to talk, to chat with you so we can resist and stay together. Like, comment and share, okay? I was banned from doing live streams. So like, comment and share it, and let's get more engagement, okay? So here's the situation. Lula. I have support. And he wins in 12 states. Flávio wins in 7. Caiado wins in Goiás. He did it. So is that good? And it's a statistical tie. The statistical tie is in São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Espírito Santo, and Tocantins. That's the statistical tie. And here in Alagoas, there was no poll, no recent poll. It's very interesting, guys. Look, São Paulo is very important, okay? Statistical tie, all right? Rio de Janeiro, statistical tie, and Espírito Santo, statistical tie. Interesting tie, right? Tocantins, statistical tie as well. In Goiás, in the center of Brazil, Ronaldo Caiado is taking votes from Flávio Bolsonaro. Very interesting, right? And speaking of São Paulo, yesterday there was the general debate, right? And I followed the debate here with you all. I even started streaming part of it, and then the live stream went down. Let me tell you something. Tarcísio lied a lot. He lied a lot. Tarcísio said that femicide decreased in São Paulo. That's a lie. Femicide actually increased. Tarcísio said that rape cases had decreased. That's a lie. Rape cases actually increased in São Paulo. He said that violence and homicides had decreased. That's a lie. Homicides actually increased in São Paulo. In other words, public security in São Paulo is in total chaos. And Tarcísio, in the debate with Fernando Haddad, lied a lot, you know, guys. He lied a lot about the data. That's desperation, isn't it? He doesn't want to accept it. Another important point we need to highlight is privatization, right? He privatized, and you yourself say here that everything that was privatized got worse. So like they put in tolls during his administration, tolls went up, there was privatization and nothing got better. There was even an explosion of privatization situations there. So like Tarcísio, he is weak. And Haddad, he is very well prepared. And well, my perception is that I don't think São Paulo deserves another 4 years of Tarcísio. I think he had his chance and he couldn't handle it. Especially when it comes to privatization. He privatized and things got worse. And when it comes to public safety, guys, São Paulo is in chaos when it comes to public safety. And Tarcísio has always followed Bolsonaro's lead. He thought force and violence would solve the problem, but it didn't solve anything at all. And I'll say it again, he lied a lot yesterday during the debate. With data that wasn't true, Tarcísio de Freitas, unfortunately, you see? And Haddad did very well right here. And Haddad did very well. Haddad went on the offensive and laid out the issues and presented himself as, in fact, the most prepared. Or, for example, a situation that I think also deserves to be highlighted. Tarcísio, he's ungrateful. And Lula helped the state of São Paulo, just like he has to help all the states in whatever way possible, of course. But Tarcísio doesn't give Lula the credit. You see, he hides what's going on. Then Haddad called him out. Lula provided 128 billion reais to the state of São Paulo, helping São Paulo. Then Haddad threw that in Tarcísio's face. Is it true or not, Tarcísio? Tarcísio didn't say it was a lie. But he also didn't say, yes, it's true, Lula really did it. So on top of everything, he's ungrateful. And what Bolsonaro left was a debt for the state of São Paulo. Bolsonaro stiffed the states on the ICMS fuel tax. The fuel ICMS tax is under the tax authority of the states. And Bolsonaro, to lower the price of gasoline, of fuel in 2022 because he was desperate, because he was dropping in the polls, he decided instead of solving the problem with Petrobras like Lula does, Bolsonaro went there and stiffed them. Stiffed the states, taking revenue away from the states. Then Tarcísio stayed silent. Quiet and low-key. Then, when Lula won, Tarcísio was one of the first governors to go to the federal Supreme Court and say, look, I want Lula to cover that unpaid bill. But it wasn't Lula's debt. It was the debt Bolsonaro left behind. And Caio and Tarcísio talked about it. You know, he tried to hide it and Fernando Haddad called him out on it. Bolsonaro left you with billions of reais in unpaid debts. You rushed to the federal Supreme Court to collect after Bolsonaro lost the elections. And Lula gave you an injection of 128 billion reais and you're ungrateful because you hide that. So that's also, man, on top of everything else, Tarcísio de Freitas is ungrateful. He's ungrateful. He hides the schemes and the damage that Bolsonaro caused to São Paulo. That's the truth. And he doesn't mention the help and support that Lula gave to the state of São Paulo. And he lied a lot, a whole lot. Meanwhile, look who showed up. Nunes Marques gives into pressure and defends electronic voting machines, distancing himself from Flávio Bolsonaro's rhetoric. The president of the TSE closed the National Voting System Week. A speech against disinformation amid pressure from STF ministers for the electoral justice system to respond to attacks on the electoral process. He showed up, there he is. Shall we watch his speech here? Wow, you really have to show up, right? Or are you going to give in to Flávio Bolsonaro in every situation? Right, Andre Mendonça? For heaven's sake, people, shall we watch his speech here? It's important for us to bring up this situation here so everyone can see. Pay attention here. It was even broadcast on TV Brazil and everything. Look here.
For 3 decades, the Brazilian electronic voting system has consolidated its credibility through technological improvements and oversight and auditing mechanisms, ensuring security and transparency in the electoral process and the election results. Discrediting the Brazilian voting system is like discouraging Brazilian voters from participating in the greatest democratic event in Brazil.
That's right, everyone. So the president of the TSE himself, Nunes Marques, is speaking out. This isn't his first statement in favor of the electoral system, in favor of the electoral process, in favor of what's happening, which is honest. And the winner is the one chosen by the people. And why is this important? Because Flávio is calling some things into question, but in some statements he's making with this coup rhetoric to call the electoral process into question. And we know he does this in many situations, hoping that Donald Trump will intervene in the electoral process. That's it, intervene. Anyway, and the situation regarding these Bolsonaro supporters is so serious that take a look at this. Bolsonaro's lawyer, those people over there. Yesterday, I received some very hot information that Delta Force is already in Brazil. Now, seeing this post from an American congressman making an edit of Lula in prison like Maduro, it makes even more sense. We don't know when, but it's very possible that Lula will have the same fate as Maduro. It's not hard to believe. Oh, this one is the federal congressman from the Republicans, right? American congressman, actually. American congressman from the Republicans. Then he posted a photo of Lula in a montage with Maduro saying, "What to expect, Brazil?" And Chiquinho, this federal congressman here, or Tamar, this is the lawyer Chiquinho here. He even made a video, which I won't show here because I won't give him the spotlight in the video, right? He said that Donald Trump already has Donald Trump's special military forces in Brazil and that Lula could be arrested by them. And that, according to American law, Donald Trump classified the PCC and the Comando Vermelho as terrorist groups. Because this, according to American law, gives Americans the power to intervene in that country. He is speaking openly. He made it clear that Donald Trump is not interested in fighting the Comando Vermelho, nor the PCC, nor anything like that. That he only did this to pressure the government so he could interfere in Brazil because he wants to take our resources. He wants to steal from Brazil just like he's stealing from Venezuela. Venezuela is being robbed day and night. Its gold and its oil are being taken. Venezuela is the country with the largest concentration of oil in the world, and it's being robbed by the United States. And Donald Trump, he wants to do the same thing with Brazil, and Lula doesn't accept it. Brazil has water, land, oil, rare earths, the Amazon, and a lot of wealth. And this lawyer, in his video, made it very clear that what they want is this, to pressure, to blackmail, to see if Lula gives in. Just like Flávio Bolsonaro already gave in and is already licking Donald Trump's boots. These people are a disgrace, folks. Traitors to the country, they should answer for treason. This is absurd. And I always tell you, Lula should prepare for the worst, hoping for the best. But he should be ready for anything, and he's ready for anything. Because these people are dangerous. And whatever they can interfere with, they will interfere and make things difficult. Do you understand? So you have to be very careful in this situation. Meanwhile, Coragido Ramage tries to explain the photo with Willer Thomas and Lira in the Grupo Celedo pool. A photo found on Everton Rocha's cell phone shows the former head of ABIN, Arthur Lira, and other politicians at the lawyer's ranch. Look at the photo here. William Thomas is the one in the center of the photo. That's Willer Thomas. Who is Willer Thomas? He was the one who received a visit from the federal police for being involved in Daniel Vorcaro's mafia. Yeah, he's a friend of Flávio Bolsonaro. Flávio Bolsonaro himself said that in live streams, that he's a lawyer, that they're friends. He even went to Florida with Flávio Bolsonaro. They went to casinos there and everything. All of that is documented. So Willa Thomas, who was visited by the federal police for involvement in a money laundering scheme and everything, is in this photo. Who else is in the picture? With his fist raised. Behind him is Elmar Nascimento. Elmar Nascimento is also deeply entangled in all of this. A congressman also under investigation in theft cases. Next to him is Juscelino Filho, who has also got a visit from the federal police. He is also there suspected of being involved in the Banco Master fraud. Sitting at the edge with his hand raised is Everton Rocha, also in the same situation. That's all. And Alexandre Ramagem, the fugitive. And in the back, look, there's Arthur Lira and Paulo Aziz. They're all lawmakers. And more than half of this photo here are already criminals or are being investigated for the frauds that are happening. INSS fraud and Banco Master fraud. And in the back there is Arthur Lira, former president of the Chamber of Deputies. There are people Flávio Bolsonaro may have benefited by choosing Alfredo Gaspar as his running mate. What do you mean, Andrea? Alfredo Gaspar, federal deputy, is the one Flávio Bolsonaro chose as the PL's running mate. He was the official candidate already confirmed at the convention for the Senate from Alagoas, and he was going to take votes away from Arthur Lira. By actually becoming Flávio Bolsonaro's running mate, he stops running for the Senate, benefiting whom? Arthur Lira in Alagoas. Now, I don't doubt, as I've already told you, I don't doubt that Flávio Bolsonaro might still pick a woman by the 15th, and maybe it will be Michelle. Michelle, he doesn't want to, but I believe Flávio is putting pressure on her in that sense. If he can't actually have Alfredo Gaspar as his running mate for real, who will benefit? The big beneficiary of this won't be Flávio because he already found a running mate. That's shooting yourself in the foot, to say the least. The one who will benefit will be Arthur Lira, who's in this picture, because his main competitor for the Senate in Alagoas will be out. And so the votes that would go to him, to Alfredo Gaspar, who's right-wing, far-right, will go to Arthur Lira. Get the point, my dear, my dear. Meanwhile, Nicolas Ferreira's declared assets jumped from 36,000 to 3.8 million and... Andrea, but this can happen, Andrea. No, it can, can't it? Now I'm thinking the following. What happened to these people? What, Andrea? Look, here's another case. Dorit more than doubled his assets in 4 years. In 2022, he declared 812,000 in assets. This year, the declared amount jumped to 2 million. The increase is approximately 148.5%. In other words, the final amount is about 2.49 times the initial amount. Wow, Andrea. Wasn't Brazil supposed to turn into Venezuela? Yeah, right. Wasn't Brazil supposed to turn into Venezuela, guys? Isn't Brazil in crisis? Because that's what they say, that Brazil was going to turn into Venezuela, that Lula was going to ruin Brazil and all that. But all these people are rich. Were they poor? Yes. And now everyone got rich? Yes. From 2022, from the beginning of Lula's term, January 1st, 2023 until now, they're all rich now pretty much. Look at that. During Lula's government. Yeah, for me, Brazil was broke. Brazil was going to become another Venezuela. And everything is, look, full of cash. I don't understand anything anymore. Front runner for governor of Acre, the Bolsonarist senator had a 147% increase in assets since the last election. Financial statements show an increase in assets from 2.1 million to 5.2 million, including a luxury car, real estate, and investments. This applies to deputies, senators, governors, state deputies. Everyone increased their assets by millions during Lula's government. Where's that Venezuela you said Brazil was going to turn into? There are some situations, guys, that are just absurd. Type Lula Tetra. We are resistance and we want justice. If we can't do it live, let's record it instead. And I'm counting on your presence and your engagement like never before. Like never before. I am the resistance, and you? Hit the like button and enjoy, comment and share, and stay tuned. Join the WhatsApp channel now. I have more information for you there, okay? Much love. Thank you so much. We're on top of it, and it's Lula for the 4th time, no matter who it hurts. Much love. We're always in this together. We are the resistance. Bye-bye.